Welcome back to Whispers in the Dark, the place where real-life nightmares, urban legends, and unexplained encounters come alive. Tonight, we delve into a corner of folklore that is far more real and far more terrifying than many believe. We're talking about the unseen folk, the fae, the good neighbors. They exist on the periphery of our world, and seeing them is often a prelude to tragedy, a warning, or a terrifying bargain. We have gathered 5 chilling accounts from witnesses who saw what they weren't supposed to see. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next terrifying tale. Account number 1, The Dancing Harbinger. Our first account comes from a man named Liam, who lived in a sleepy Maryland suburb many years ago. His story serves as a chilling reminder that these entities are not always malicious in their actions, but their very presence can be an omen of profound sorrow. Liam's childhood bedroom was on the 2nd floor, with a window overlooking the quiet cul-de-sac. Late one summer night, he was woken from his sleep and headed to the bathroom. As he slipped back into bed, a sound began to tap against his window pane. It was a light, rhythmic knocking. Being on the 2nd floor, he knew it wasn't a person. He dismissed it as a branch, or perhaps his cat pawing at the glass from inside. He rolled over, trying to find sleep again. But the knocking returned. This time, it was deliberate. A playful, yet utterly impossible pattern tapped against the glass. Tap, 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 tap. Shave and a haircut. This was no cat. This was from outside. A chill crept down his spine as he slid out of bed and crept towards the window. Peeking through the blinds, his eyes were drawn to the bottom of the street, where a lone lamp post cast a cone of pale yellow light next to a giant oak tree. And there, dancing in the light, was a small creature. It was stout, with a top-heavy gait, and moved with a bizarre theatrical flair. Liam described it as a dapper, but deeply wrong, version of Danny DeVito's penguin. It wasn't dirty, but its movements were just as unnatural. As it danced, its head snapped up, and its gleaming button-like eyes locked directly with his. It knew it had been seen. The creature grabbed the lamppost, spun around at once with surprising agility, clapped its heels together with a sharp click, and simply wasn't there anymore. It had vanished into thin air. Liam stood at the window for a long time, trying to process the sheer absurdity of what he'd witnessed. He never saw it again, but he can't shake the timing. Not long after that night, his mother passed away unexpectedly. For 26 years, he has been haunted by the question, was the dancing creature a warning, a cause, or just a cruel, meaningless coincidence? Account number 2, The Brownies' Intervention. While our first account suggests a passive, perhaps ominous role for these entities, our second witness, a man named David, believes one of them saved his father's life. It suggests that while they are not human, their motives can sometimes align with our own survival for reasons we may never understand. David's father was in the rugged woods of the Pacific Northwest, clearing fallen timber with a chainsaw. The deafening roar of the machine filled the forest, and he was deep in concentration, slicing through a massive log. Suddenly he felt a prickling sensation on the back of his neck, the unmistakable feeling of being watched. He glanced up and saw it. Peeking from behind a nearby tree was a little person. It had leathery tanned skin, wore rough, earth-toned clothes that seemed woven from moss and bark, and its eyes were as bright as polished river stones. It simply stared at him, its expression unreadable. In that moment of sheer wonder, David's father instinctively lifted the roaring chainsaw off the log, his finger easing off the throttle. In the split second after he did, the chainsaw suddenly sputtered and seized. The chain violently locked up in the guide bar, a catastrophic malfunction. Had the chainsaw still been engaged with the log, the force of the seizure would have caused it to kick back violently, flinging the still moving chain directly at his chest or neck. He knew with absolute certainty that the little person had popped out at that precise moment to make him pause, to save him from a gruesome accident. He looked back at the creature, which he called a Brownie from old Folklore. The little man seemed to smile, a knowing, ancient smirk, and then, just like Liam's dancing figure, it simply disappeared. A life saved, a debt perhaps incurred, and a glimpse into a world that operates by its own strange rules. Account number 3, the basement dweller and the offering. Our next account comes from 2 neighbors, Maria and Sophia, and it highlights a crucial aspect of Fae folklore, the bargain, the idea that these creatures, if they inhabit your space, demand tribute and become angry when it ceases. Maria was the first to see it. One evening she was heading down to her basement when she saw a small figure scurrying down the stairs ahead of her. It was maybe knee-high, with dark brown skin, 2 beady black eyes, and a face she described as being strangely scrunched, like a cat's. It wore a tiny threadbare vest and pants. When it realized it was seen, it gave a look of pure surprise and vanished into the shadows of the basement. Confused and unsettled, she mentioned it to her neighbor, Sophia. Sophia's face went pale. Her grandmother was an immigrant from South America and had always practiced the old ways. Every single night, she would leave a small bowl of milk and a piece of bread on the kitchen counter. Sophia's mother, a modern woman, grew annoyed by the habit and told her to stop. But the grandmother warned her, her voice low and serious, "You must leave it out for the little man, for el Duende. If you don't, he will get angry." They stopped leaving the food out, and that's when things in the apartment started to go haywire. Objects would go missing and reappear in strange places. A favorite vase would be found shattered on the floor. A constant, unsettling feeling of being watched permeated the home. It culminated one night when Sophia, then a teenager, was in her bed. She heard a rhythmic thump, thump, thump from directly beneath her. Her heart pounding, she leaned over the edge of the bed and looked underneath. Staring back at her from the darkness was a tiny man, the same size Maria had described, and it was grinning at her, a wide, triumphant, and utterly maniacal grin. She screamed. Her grandmother immediately began putting the food out again. The activity stopped. It was a truce. A clear message had been sent. We share this space, but you will pay your rent. Account number 4, the dancer at the crossroads. This next account takes us back to the Fae as an omen, but with a far more direct and malevolent implication. This isn't just a passive warning. This feels like a ritual. This story comes from a traveler passing through a lonely, rural intersection in the Midwest, late one October night. The witness was driving down a long, dark country road, the only light coming from their headlights. As they approached a 4-way stop marked by a single, lonely stop sign, their lights caught something in the middle of the intersection. It was a dark, writhing shape, dancing with a frantic, jerky energy. The witness slowed down, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. The creature was a disjointed, almost abstract thing. It looked like a collection of black, shimmering circles pieced together to form a crude mockery of a human body and head. Its dance was not joyful. It was ritualistic, disturbing, and felt deeply wrong. The witness said the vibe it gave off was one of pure, concentrated negativity. As the driver watched, frozen, the creature's head snapped in their direction. It had noticed them. The dancing stopped. The witness felt a wave of pure annoyance from the creature, not fear, but irritation, as if its important work had been interrupted. With a final, spiteful flicker, it simply dissolved into the darkness. Shaken, the driver sped through the intersection and didn't look back. Later that night, they heard on the local news about a terrible car wreck at that very same intersection. All 5 people involved were killed. The witness has been haunted ever since by the thought that the creature wasn't just dancing. It was preparing the ground. It was calling something to that specific spot. Account number 5, the glimpses on the periphery. Our final account is perhaps the most unsettling because it suggests these encounters are not always rare, singular events. It suggests that these entities are always there, just at the edge of our sight. A man named Mark shared a casual conversation he had with his wife, Clara, a highly intelligent and rational person. She told him that sometimes when she's walking in the woods, she sees them, not directly, but always in her peripheral vision, a flicker of movement, the impression of a small, hunched shape darting behind a tree. A gnome-like figure, gone the moment she turns her head to look. She's never felt threatened, but she is always aware that she is not alone. This connects directly to the folklore we've discussed. It is said that once you become aware of them, or once they become aware of you, a connection is made. And like with Sophia's grandmother, it is said that if you begin leaving treats and trinkets for them, you must continue to do so. They appreciate the acknowledgement, but if you stop, if you ignore them after the pact has been made, they become angry. So, we are left with a chilling tapestry of encounters, from the dancing Omen in Maryland to the helpful Brownie in the forest, the demanding dweller in the basement, the ritualistic dancer at the crossroads, and the constant peripheral watchers in the woods. They are guardians, tricksters, omens, and sometimes something far, far worse. They are the unseen folk, and perhaps it's best they remain that way. And that's where our journey into the world of the unseen folk concludes for tonight. 5 chilling accounts, each a glimpse into a reality just beyond our own. A reality where the small, mysterious, and often ancient entities known as the Fae quietly observe, interact, and sometimes demand. Which of these encounters resonated most deeply with you? Have you, or anyone you know, ever had a fleeting glimpse, a sudden feeling, or a direct interaction with the unseen folk? Let me know your theories and experiences in the comments below. I read every single one. If these stories sent a shiver down your spine, please show your support by hitting that like button to make sure you never miss another whisper from the dark. Subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. And if you know someone who might appreciate a reminder that not all myths are just stories, share this video with them. Until next time, be careful where you walk, and be even more careful what you see in the corner of your eye. They might be watching.